have 10 books right here. Actually, I have 11, but they're 10. I have recommendations. 10 top 10 recommendations. My top 10 recommendations.
You get there eventually.
Of books that I have read this year. I have read all of these books. I am going to give them a rating list. Not a rating list, but I'm going to put them in order of like 10 to 1.
This has never been done before.
I have, just for the record, I have read 43 books this year. 44 books this year. I think I haven't updated my Goodreads, so it could be 44 or 45. I don't remember. Let's do this. Sitting at number 10, I'm going to say is When in Rome. This was an amazing book. I loved this book. I stayed up all night to read this book. It was so good. I read it in one sitting, and then as soon as I finished it, I went straight to Practice Makes Perfect. This is such a cute romance book. It's about a pop star who goes to Rome, Kentucky, and she's trying to live her like When in Rome Audrey Hepburn life. And she meets this baker, and there is a lot of tension. He does not like her at all, like can't stand her. It's such a cute rom-com-y book. I loved it. It's sitting at number 10. And if this is at number 10, you can only imagine the rest of the list. At number 9, I read this for Valentine's Day. It was so cute. I read it in February. The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Oh my gosh, was this the cutest little story I have ever read. This is about a girl who relives the same day over and over again. Happens to be Valentine's Day that she's reliving. It was fun. It's cute. I think it's YA. I just loved this story. I loved everything about it. I loved how she did the do-over. It wasn't repetitive. It wasn't like the exact same thing every single time. And there was a lot of canon events, you know, like there was a lot that you could have been like interpreting things differently. It was pretty cool. I really liked it. Sitting at number 8. Oh my gosh. I have so many things that I could say about this book, but The Hacienda. I got this as one of my book of the month picks. I think I read it this year. I think I got this from book of the month last year, but I read it this year. No, maybe it was from this year. I don't know. But anyways, I read it. It was so good. It was so creepy. It was very gothic. If you've read Mexican Gothic, you would love this book. It's so good. It's about this girl. She marries into a rich family. She moves into this really nice house. The house is haunted. Like, it is creepy and mystical and magical, and there's a priest involved. It's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe. The house is a character in this book, and I live for that. Love this book. Highly recommend it. It is sitting at number 8. For number 7, I have a series. I don't really have a particular book because, in fact, both of these books should be at number 7. So I'm going to do the King of Sin series. Now, if you are one of my close friends, you're probably thinking to yourself right now, Lord girl, you spoke about these books for weeks on end. You forced everyone to read them. What do you mean this is only at number 7? This was such a great series. I loved this series. I am obsessed with this series. I immediately pre-ordered King of Greed and King of Sloth, which King of Sloth doesn't even come out until April of 2024. Did it anyways. King of Pride, King of Wrath, absolutely amazing. Absolutely love these books. Absolutely recommend them. Totally get them. They're a romance. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. King of Wrath is about a guy who has anger issues. King of Pride is about a guy who has prideful issues. And the women, top notch. Just so good. Eating all of that up. I am so excited for the rest of this series. And I'm already like trying to guess who are going to be like, I know who King of Sloth is and I know who King of Greed is, but I'm trying to figure out like envy and lust. Oh my gosh. Just so you know, this is a spicy book. The spiciest of spicy, okay? So viewer discretion is advised. Sitting at number 6. I don't know if you're ready for this. I'm doing Then She Was Gone. Let me tell you something. This is at number 6. I sat there and stared at the wall when I finished this book. I just stared at the wall and I was trying to calculate like what just happened. It threw me for a loop. I was obsessed with this book. I could not forget it for like a week. I was having dreams about this book. This is about a woman who starts dating a man and he has a daughter that looks exactly like her daughter who went missing. And it is quite the tale. Oh my gosh. I was eating all of it up. I think I read it in like a day, maybe a day and a half. I read it really fast though. I just sat there and read it, and like it was a zippity-zoodah type of a read. Oh my gosh, I could not put it down. Highly recommend. This is one of the greatest books ever written. So good. So good. I mean, I say that about all the books that I've already talked about, but, and you're probably like, if this is the greatest book that's ever been written, why is it sitting at number 6? Because I have other books, okay? It's really hard to order these. At number 5, this is a book that made me laugh so hard. I read it with one of my best friends. It was so good. Like, I could not stop laughing. It was so cute. There is like spice, but it's like very tasteful. I don't know how to explain that. I'm talking, of course, of the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. This was such a cute story. It's got like a little bit of a fantasy vibe where there's like flying houses and stuff like that. It is so funny. It's so quick-witted. It is about a girl who has an assassin, and she's a little upset because the person who put the assassin on her is doing it to get back at somebody else, and she really wanted her first assassin to all be about her. And it is such a good book. It's so funny. I love this book so much. It was great. I have this is kind of like a series, there's 3 books. They're all kind of companion novels, so they kind of weave in and out of each other. I read books 1 and 3 by mistake. I did read this one first, and then I read book 3 by mistake, but it did not take me out of the story. I completely knew what was going on. There was no point where I was like, I don't understand. Like, it was so well done. So well done. So I'm actually really excited to read book 2. This book is at number 4, and I don't want anyone to get mad at me, okay? It's pretty high up there. It's in the top 5, okay? But it's at number 4. And when I show you the other, you're gonna be like, okay, that makes sense. But sitting at number 4 is Love Theoretically by Hazelwood. I love this book. I ate it up. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so good. This book is about, of course, 2 very intelligent people who are into science. This is about Elsie, who fake dates this guy's brother, and the guy and Elsie fall in love. The guy's name is Jack, and they fall in love, and it is such a good up-and-coming story. It's kind of like a coming of age story, but for 30-year-olds. I don't know how to explain that. Basically, Elsie is a huge people pleaser, and Jack really helps her get out of that. And it's just so sweet. It's so cute. I love Jack. I love him so much. He's such a great guy. I really loved this book. I really loved everything about this book, and I really loved Elsie. I saw so much of myself in her, which was a little scary because there were times where I was like, is Hazelwood in my room? Like, is she watching me? This was a great book. This was so wonderful, so fantastic. Okay, all right, y'all. We are in the top 3. This was kind of hard for me to do. I'm gonna be honest. One of these books, I literally just finished this morning. So it may be in the top 3 unfairly, but I felt like it needed to be there. And so sitting at number 3, I am talking about The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Holy crap, the twists and turns, the plots that were twisting. It was completely insane. This is The Only One Left. It is about a woman, Lenora Hope, and she has her own little rhyme, and it was like, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her dad with a knife, and ended her mother's happy life. I didn't do it, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. And oh my gosh, this book. Oh my gosh. Actually, I have a little reading vlog on my Instagram channel, so if you want to see like how that ended for me, go check it out. It was very, very good. It was so good. Loved this. Sitting at number 2 is a spiritual book. I recommend this book to literally any person who's like, I really want to work on myself. I really want to work on, staying focused or anything like that. Like anyone who needs just a spiritual book. This is the first one that I recommend. I recommend it in all of my spiritual book clubs that I'm in. I'm of course talking about the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This was such an amazing book. I cannot believe it took me this long to read this book, but it did. I underlined, oh, you can't really see, but I underlined a lot in this book. I underlined in pen, which is not, well, can you, yeah. I underlined so much in this book. It was fantastic. I loved every second of this book. It was so good. There were so many things that I was like, wow, that is such a distraction for me. And I cannot believe like he just pointed that out. C.S. Lewis, he wrote this book so long ago, like so long ago. And yet I read it as if he wrote it today. It's very interesting how all of this is still relevant. I very much recommend this book. This book is about two demons who basically are talking about how they can get people off the right track and how they can distract them. And they're little things like, okay, when he goes to church, have him focus on the one person who's out of tune and like have him get really annoyed by it. Oh, he wants to like give to charity. Quick, give him a bill that he has to pay and like make him think that he doesn't have enough money to give away. And like, it's so real. Like, it's just so, I don't know. It was just such a good story back and forth of like Screw Tape talking to Wormwood, and I will never stop recommending this book. I will never stop recommending this book. I'm sure you would love to know what number one is. I'm sure right now you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to hear from you anymore. I just want to know what book number one is. I will tell you. Sitting at book number one. My favorite book of this year, bar none. The book that made me sob. The book that made me question everything. Everything I've ever written, ever. The book that was a pivotal change in my life.
Please tell us, just tell us, I'm begging you.
Happy Place by Emily Henry. I love this book. I love this book. I'm sure so many people love this book, but I love this book. Like, you don't understand. This book is my bread and butter, okay? I tabbed it. I highlighted it. It was so good. I was reading it. I left so many voice notes to my friends of me sobbing my eyes out and just crying. And oh my gosh, this book broke me. I was obsessed. I was obsessed. My best friend read it because I basically was like, you have to read this. Like, I think I left her like a 20-minute voice note of me crying my eyes out about this book. And she was like, what the heck? And I was like, please just read this, please. And of course she did read it and she was like, I mean, I got emotional, but I didn't cry. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. You're heartless. It's fine. No, I'm just kidding. But this is such a great book. This book is about friendship and life and adulthood. And yes, there is miscommunication, but it kind of makes sense, the miscommunication. I felt like I don't normally like miscommunication, but in this instance, I did. I could understand where the miscommunication was coming from because my husband and I had pretty similar miscommunication. So I thought this was so good though. I thought it was so good. And it's about friendship, getting back together with people that you've started drifting apart from, just that scary feeling of not knowing what was going to happen next. Like, this book was so good. It was so good and I loved it so much, and I was so sad when it was over. Like, I just wanted to know what happened next. I wanted to make sure that everybody was okay and everybody was happy, and their happy place is being sold. They used to go to this cottage in Maine, and it was this girl's dad's cottage, and he was selling it. And so they had one last summer at their happy place, and it's just so cute. It's so cute. I do love this book. I do recommend this book. This book is sitting at number one for a reason. It was so good. That is my top 10. That concludes. I would love to know your top 10s. And yeah, leave me those comments down below. Hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but you should probably subscribe right now. You should probably do that right now. So if you could subscribe, thank you. Appreciate it. Especially if you made it this far in the video. I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on in your life? Please tell me. Go subscribe. And if you have your own top 10, I would love to know. what is your top 10 favorite books that you've read this year? Or even just your top 5 or top 3. What are your top 3 favorite books? You know, like it doesn't have to be a 10. These books, they all hold a very special place in my heart. And it was honestly so hard to organize them. That was really difficult. But all of these books, I feel they got like a good rating. Honestly, they're all number 1, but Happy Place is even more number 1. Like she's the highest number 1. So my battery's about to die. I'm gonna let you go.